Well, hello. I don't know if I'm going to upload this or not as I film it, but I am in the Black Hills. I'm staying in Leeds, South Dakota at the Town Hall Inn. And one of my viewers recently commented, well, why aren't you in Rapid City? Because I like Lead. But anyway, I did go to Rapid City today. With the snow that we had and that I drove in and last night, I didn't get on the road very quickly this morning. I wanted to wait while they cleaned up streets and roads and so on. And, in my town when it snows, and every town I've lived in North Dakota, what they'll do is they'll go in after the snow is done. And then they'll plow once and be done with it. Till then, good luck. Lead started plowing last night. And they plowed several times this morning, and it was not a whole lot of snow. The biggest thing was that it formed ice on the road because it's at that perfect temperature where it wants to be ice. So maybe this isn't normal. Maybe it's an ice thing. I don't know. But I was surprised how often they were plowing. But I just sat here and I thought, I really don't want to go out right now till I'm sure these really steep mountain roads are clear. In fact, there's a car parked out front of the place where I'm staying with a smushed front. I can't help but wonder, were you out in the ice last night? So, anyway, that messed with my plans because I was planning to go to do my small town traveling today. And then I was going to go to Rapid City tomorrow and then kind of loop around from Rapid City through Hill City and kind of that scenic area down there. So that has all been shot to hell. So I did my Rapid City, and I only did Rapid City today. And when I go to Rapid City, of course, I visit Books A Million, which is a chain bookstore. I visit Mitzi's Books, which is downtown. It's an independent bookstore. I visit, again, Books and Bazaar, which is a independent used bookstore in downtown Rapid City. And then I go to Everybody's Books, which is another independent used bookstore on the outskirts of Rapid City. And I might... No, actually I won't. I was going to say, I might include some footage, but I didn't take any. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to show you some of what I got. Oh, and I also visited the antique mall that's in Rapid City, and I did purchase something. So, a little something from every store. So let's start with the antique mall. I need this like I need a hole in my head, but for $20, I couldn't resist. So, you can guess what it is. It's a very lovely, portable Smith Corona typewriter. It works. Needs a new ribbon, but it works. And for $20, I fell in lust. Yes, there were some very nice-looking office-sized typewriters there. There was an Underwood Model 5 from the 1920s. I own one. I just need to work on it so it works. There was a beautiful Royal from the 1950s. And there was one of those, I can't remember the name brand, but it's one of the wing typewriters where the keys flip in like this that worked. All of which were very tempting and all of which were north of $100 except for the Royal. The Royal was like $80. But I saw this cute little Smith Corona. I don't even know what model it is. I don't see a model written on it. It just says Made in England on it. But I wanted it. So I now own it. I'm not going to type on it here at the Town Hall Inn because it needs a new ribbon. And even if it didn't need a new ribbon, I don't really have a desk in here. And I think the noise would be just too loud. So we'll set this aside and I guess we know what I'll be doing when I get home. So Books A Million is a chain bookstore, kind of like a Barnes & Noble or a Borders Books. In fact, the Books A Million in Rapid City used to be a Borders Books, but I think Borders went out of business. Anyway, Books A Million bought it. I won't say all to the good, because it now has a large selection of games and puzzles and model things and that type of stuff that, I looked through it a little bit, but didn't really interest me. I did get to watch a guy try to walk out of the store with stuff from that part of the bookstore that he'd hidden inside of his coat. So that was exciting. The manager and somebody else stopped him right there when the alarm went off, and they took it all away from him and told him never to come back to the store ever again. I don't know if you can enforce that, but that was a little bit of excitement. I've always heard businesses don't confront shoplifters, but I guess they still do. So I bought a few things. First of all, I did buy a couple of magazines. I don't subscribe to a single magazine in paper form. I cut them all out of my life many years ago as just part of simplifying my life, because I realized, they keep coming, and if I don't read one week, another one comes, and then I've got two to read, and then I feel guilty. I'm like, I should read the old one before I read the new one, and so I just quit buying them. I quit subscribing. But, when I go into a store like that, it's kind of fun to buy a magazine or two. So I got Ad Astra, which is the magazine of the National Space Society. I have Skeptical Inquirer, and I have Skeptic. So, 3 magazines to read. And I also bought 2 books while I was in there. So let's see what I got here. I bought a book called Math with Bad Drawings, that's going to be interesting to read through. For those of you who don't know, I'm normally a science teacher, but I am also certified to teach math. In fact, I can teach math at a higher level than I can teach science, even though my degree is in physics. But I can teach introductory college level math courses if I so choose. But I usually keep that quiet. And then I bought a bargain book from Cal Newport called A World Without Email. Cal Newport's interesting. I've reviewed a few of his books on the channel. And not that I really needed one, but I bought a Leuchtturm notebook dot grid, because I like them. They have numbered pages. They're friendly to my fountain pens. And there's a section for a table of contents so I can find everything later. I did a video on, I think it was called The Messy Brilliance of Notebooks last summer. So you'll see if you watch that video why I like all these features for a notebook. So then I voyaged downtown Rapid City. That's where I bought the typewriter. There's 2 bookstores there. One is Mitzi's Books, which is an independent bookstore. 2 stories of books, not the selection of Books A Million, but a different set of books. So that's part of the fun of indie bookstores, is they tend to have maybe the books that the chains may not pick up. So one I picked up was Kim Stanley Robertson's Icehenge, and this is about the discovery of something like Stonehenge, only made out of ice, on the planet Pluto. I read Kim Stanley Robinson back in college. He wrote a book, 3 books that were about the terraforming of Mars. What was it? Red Mars, Green Mars, and Blue Mars? Something like that. Anyway, I read them back in college, and I really haven't read any Kim Stanley Robinson since then, except for one book is The Years of Rice and Salt, something like that. It was like people that kept getting reincarnated over and over again, and I didn't care for that. But I decided to try him again. The other one I got was Adrian Tchaikovsky's The Children of Ruin. So I've read the predecessor to it, called Children of Time. It was about a planet that was terraformed and had a special something put in the terraforming that was supposed to create humans out of ape-type creatures, but the ape-type creatures died, so this genetic engineering stuff ended up affecting the wolf spiders that were sent to the planet that was terraformed. And the wolf spiders became intelligent and eventually met up with human refugees from Earth. And all kinds of hilarity ensued, as you can imagine. But anyway, This is the sequel to that, so it has the spiders in it, has the humans after they've come to terms with one another, I guess. So I'll be interested to read that. And then I visited, again, Books and Bazaar, which is downtown. It is a used bookstore. It's kind of a maze, a very narrow maze. And you have all these little cul-de-sacs in it. Let's call them cul-de-sacs. Full of books. Very organized. Both used bookstores are organized. They're not these hoarded messes that some used bookstores tend to be. But, you can spend a lot of time in there. And I did. So I bought an author I've never heard of, but it looked interesting. John Gardner, The Sunlight Dialogues. And let's see if I remember I don't remember what this is about, but something about it appealed to me. The central plot concerns the quest of a noble but somewhat befuddled old police chief to get hold of, and more important, understand a strange magician called the Sunlight Man. What the Sunlight Man believes in, if anything, is absolute existential freedom. What Chief of Police Fred Clumley believes in is not only law and order, but also justice, absolute justice here and now. The two mad idealists hunt each other until each drives his enemy to a bedrock humanness stripped of illusion, full of grace. And anyway, it takes place in western New York, presumably of the 60s. I'm not real sure when. Oh, western New York as it was when the Holland Land Office first began transforming it as it became in succeeding generations, and as it is now a place of factories, wrecked streams and forests, stony farmland. This is a novel about the quiet smolder of the unmelted American melting pot, the pride and conflict of cultures meeting, demanding the freedom America has always bravely promised, and learning the limits of all merely human promises. It is a funny book, also very solemn, suspenseful, mysterious as a dream, and so on. But anyway, so I'm curious to read it. There's also, in the front of it, some writing. I don't know if it's a quote you can pause the video if you want to read it. But I don't know if it's the beginning of the book or what it is. Copyright 1972. Oh, and there's illustrations. Didn't catch that before. So let me throw up one of the illustrations. Page V has an illustration. All right, we'll skip page V. Let's go to page 46. Page V, I couldn't find it. Okay, nothing earth-shattering, but there we go. Page V, let me just show you page V. Make of that what you will. So, it'll be interesting for whatever it's worth. So I had a copy of this book. I gave it away, and then I've read more about this book, and I decided I need to read it again. So I bought the Forsyte Saga, also at this used bookstore downtown. So it's about the Forsyte family, multiple generations. Everything you need to know about geometry in one giant notebook. I am about to be done teaching geometry, but I decided what the hey, so I bought a copy of that. A book that I'm surprised I have never bought and never read, even though I really liked the movie, Princess Bride. What happens when the most beautiful girl in the world marries the handsomest prince in the world and he turns out to be a son of a bitch? I found a book that I used to read quite heavily as a kid. I was trying to learn Polish back when I was a teenager, and I found a copy of it. Don't know if it's the most up-to-date book, but there you go. Teach Yourself Polish. And I found another book that I'd had when I was a kid. Math on Keys, a calculator book from Texas Instrument. So I have, over the years, thought about this book, and I've never found it for sale, couldn't remember what it was called. And then here I am browsing this used bookstore and found it. So we'll see. It may turn out to be not quite what I remember, because there must be a reason I got rid of it. But I also know that I go through spells where I just want to get rid of stuff and get rid of stuff without thinking. This is one of them. Possibly. Okay, so that was, again, Books and Bazaar. Then I went to the not the outskirts of town, but further out from the center of town in Rapid City. I'm going to wet my whistle here. I'm staying somewhere I'm allowed to drink out of plastic. Anyway, so then I went to Everybody's Bookstore, or Everybody's Used Books. I'll try to put links to these stores in the video description if possible. I don't know if it's possible. They may not have websites, but I will try. Anyway, I went there, and it's very colorful murals on the outside. I probably should go back. I should probably go to these stores and just say, hey, can I film? Probably not to Books A Million, because who cares? It's a chain. Okay. Are you seeing the deer? I don't really know what I'm pointing at here. Okay, we might be looking at the deer's butt. There's another deer. Boy, I hope I'm recording these deer. Holy gee willikers. That's a lot of deer. Oh, dear. Oh, God. Oh, I missed that. They were jumping. They were doing a little jumpy jump. It was cute. Okay. If that didn't record, I'll edit it out. Anyway, so then I went to Everybody's Books, and oh, there is a dog. He smells the deer, and I think he got off his harness. Oh, no, he is just... Oh, he's confused because he's following their tracks all over across the street and doesn't know what's going on. He's confused, but yeah, he's wearing a harness, so I can tell he got loose from it. Okay, so then I went to... Where was I in my story? Everybody's Books. I went to Everybody's Books. The whole store is covered with murals on the outside. It's another very organized bookstore. It's kind of one of those cheaply built buildings. But again, it's organized. The books are shelved. It's not one of these hoarded messes like some used bookstores can be. She was very busy, and she seemed to know every one of her customers, and she was greeting them by name and asking about family members and sharing stories with them, and sounded like she was enjoying herself. Very nice lady. But anyway, I saw this book. So it's in a little bit tough shape, but I just decided I wanted it. It just looked interesting, from the 60s or 70s. And actually stuff that I might use, because I own a home, a fully paid for home, as of about a year ago. A little more than a year ago. Of course, I've always enjoyed John le Carré, and I found 2 books by him that I haven't read. So I got The Looking Glass War. No, sorry, that's the next one. One's called Our Game. I got The Looking Glass War. And I got 3, 4. I lost count. Silverview. I think this is the one that about the guy who's settled into owning a bookstore after a lifetime of being a spy. And I got The Tailor of Panama, which is also a movie with, I can't remember the actor's name. Is it Sean Connery? One of the James Bonds, anyway. No, not Sean Connery. Pierce Brosnan? Roger Moore? Not the new Bond. Not the blonde one. That doesn't matter. Anyway, it's also a movie. And it's kind of interesting. Panama is, at the time that was written, Panama was in the news. And once again, Panama is in the news because we have a president who's paranoid about the canal there. So, just kind of funny. So then I also found a classic book that I'd read in college, and I've always what was the name of that book? So I took a course called History of World War I and World War II, taught by, since he has passed away, I feel safe saying his name, Dr. David McKillop. He was a very interesting man. I'm actually surprised. I haven't talked too much about the college I went to, but it was an ultra right-wing conservative college, religious on top of it, and has gotten even more so ever since I left. And I wouldn't say he was a liberal, but he was definitely an independent thinker, and I'm surprised he got away with teaching there, but he actually passed away while teaching there. Anyway, I took History of World War I and World War II from him, and I also took Russian history from him. I think he's the first good history professor I ever had. First good history teacher I ever had. But anyway, Robert Graves, goodbye to all of that. So this is about a British guy growing up in British boarding schools and all that stuff. It's Robert Graves' kind of memoir, but then he gets into his experience as a soldier in the trenches of the First World War. So, probably not a happy book. Then I found a book. I don't remember a thing about this book, but I remember the cover, so I must have bought this book, must have read it. I even remember the title and the author's name, but I don't remember the book at all. And anyway, I decided to reread it. It's funny, you read books, and years later you reread it and you don't realize it until something strikes you. Sometimes it's the cover. I recently reread, as it turned out, Stephen King's Eyes of the Dragon. I did not remember this book at all until I got to the part where there's this dog tracing the scent of a guy, and the dog sees it like a blue streak in the air. And then I remembered the book. So it's funny how the human memory works. So I must have read that book in high school, I'm thinking. Anyway, so we'll see if I remember it. The lady at the bookstore said, "Oh, what a cover! You're going to have that displayed on your shelf." I don't know if she was into the naked people, the cloud, the skeleton boat, or what it was, but anyway, I don't think I've ever gone canoeing naked. No, I'm sure I've never gone canoeing naked, and definitely not in a skeleton canoe. But I've got the book now, so there we go. I found one that is interesting that this was happening. This was shortly after the Second World War, this book came out, and the description struck me. And let's see if I might have to put my glasses on to read the copyright date. Anyway, it's the study of irrational forces in everyday life. Oh, boy. I do need my glasses. Oh, yeah, copyright 1942 and 1951, it says. So he must have added to it. Oh, yeah, new, completely revised edition. So this must be the 1956 version of it. Uh, okay, I don't want to read the whole book description, but in this book, a practical psychoanalyst turns the spotlight on human nature in our contemporary world to arrive at a doctor's diagnosis of modern civilization. Thoroughly up to date, the new edition analyzes the effect of two great world wars to reach a brilliant interpretation of the psychological aspects of war and peace. Why is it that intellect alone cannot rule the world? Why does mankind fall so short of controlling its destiny by the use of reason? What are the major psychological forces contributing to mass action and social upheaval? These are the questions that lie at the root of the troubles of our time, and Dr. Alexander answers them clearly and realistically. So we'll see. It could end up being really dry. I've never heard of this book before, so we'll see. I got an Arthur C. Clarke Glide Path. What I love about this used bookstore is there's a lot of the less common older books, the ones that I buy. Some used bookstores like, we're not going to move that one, so we're not going to sell it. They only want the older copies of bestsellers and things. Not this one. So I appreciate that. So we've got Glide Path, which is about from man's spaceflight in the malevolent reign of computer HAL in 2001, we turn back to Mark I, the entirely real and highly capricious radar system that saved more than one flyer's life before it was relegated to the machine graveyard of flying history. From GCD headquarters to moon base and the stars is the journey of mankind, and Arthur C. Clarke remains the expert in evoking the exciting excitement of discovery, whether it be the discoveries past or those yet undreamed in the mind of man. So, yeah, this one's about radar. And my last one, I know I've read it. I can't remember a thing about it. I used to have a lot of books by Larry Niven, and I don't know what happened to them. Anyway, this is called A Gift from Earth. And I remember the world. I can't remember anything about the book, because it's a world it's a poisonous atmosphere and uninhabitable. But there's a really tall mountain on it, and the top of the mountain is habitable. And somehow humans ended up there, and that's where they live under a dictatorship. And anyway, the book's about that. So, I look forward to reading that. So, with as many books as I brought into my life, it's a good thing I brought a back seat full of books that I am donating to various little free libraries around here. I'm trying to take one from each little free library, maybe more if there's something interesting there. But I want to get rid of them all. I didn't visit any little free libraries in Rapid City. Rapid City is big. Maybe if I was spending several days there, I'd do it. But I visited one in Sturgis today. There's one in Lead I'm going to visit tomorrow morning when I go to get breakfast. There's two in Spearfish. So if I do that, I think I will get rid of my back seat of books and come home with maybe 5 to 7 books for my own little free library. So anyway, that's my haul. I don't usually do haul videos, but that was my haul. That's how exciting I am when you come spend time with me, right? That's how exciting I am when you come spend time with me. But tomorrow is going to be my hit the small towns. Kids running up the street. They just open the door to the bar, and then they came out of it and they're running up the street. So I think they got yelled at. Whatever. Teenagers having fun. If they just opened the door to the bar and got yelled at, I think it's pretty harmless fun. Earlier they were jumping on the fence out here along the sidewalk. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.